Hi everybody, it's Lace, and this video is going to cover book publishing with flair. And you're going to see that I'm in front of my magic printing press, which was like a old backer award, but it's, for public use here in Diamond Fields. You're going to say, well, what's a printing press used for? Well, it's to make copies of something you've already created. What this video is mostly going to deal with is how to create colors, fonts, well, not fonts, but colors, underlines, incorporating ASCII art into your designs, and doing flyers, books, and then now the new thing, bulletin board flyers. Now, while there have been many postings on the forums about how to do the text, how to do the font and stuff, it really took me a long time to figure out that the only way to do these things is when you import text. So, for example, let's say I have a blank book, blank, and I've put a few blank things in my inventory for this video, but oh my god, could we just spell blank right? Nope, because we're drinking. It's July 4th, but blank book. Okay, so I'm going to double click blank book. And when you first open a blank book, you have the option to import text. Okay, well, I'm going to make this distinction. We do a blank sheet of paper, we cannot do this. And when we do a bulletin board flyer, which is one of the newer recipes, we cannot do this. What this means is with flyers and blank sheets of paper that you just lay on the ground or something, you cannot put colors and stuff into your text. You can still use some ASCII art, and we'll go over that, but you can't put colors, because the only way to put colors is to import the text. And so let's say you've written something out and you want this line to be red and this line to be blue. Well, that's pretty easy, but again, you have to import the text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a sample piece of text that I've edited to have colors and lines and underlines and some bold and some not bold, just to show you that. So give me one moment, because that's a different application. So here we are on a copy of, I believe it's the final cut of the Putt-Putt Golf Course menu. Now, I've showed that before, and I'll show it again. But anyway, where you want to save your text and edit your text for imports is going to be C users, your PC username, like John C, whatever your name is, app data, roaming, portalarium, Shroud of the Avatar, and you may have a Shroud of the Avatar and Shroud of the Avatar QA, custom books, and then I'm opening test4.txt. Okay, so again, that's where you want to save your documents. You need to save them with the TXT extension, and you'll put all your editing in here. Now, we've looked at kind of the book for the golf course menu, and you saw you saw that it had a diamond and it looked perfectly formed, and you saw this guy putting golf and it looked perfectly formed. But when you look at it here, it doesn't look that way. Well, that's the thing, is you have to tweak stuff and you have to play with things, especially ASCII art, because the books are not published. And what I've said before is a true type font. A true type font means that any character takes up the exact same width as another character. So therefore, ASCII art, you can copy and paste it in very easily. But what we have in our books, the font in our books is not true type. So an I takes up less width on the book publishing area than a G or an H or a J or something like that. So that's what I'm talking about when I say true type font. Letters and characters have different things, so you have to kind of learn how to space things out. And while there's a great many sites that you can search for ASCII art on, you're going to have the patience to make it look correctly on the actual final copy of your book and stuff. Because when you paste it in, it's going to look like garbage. And I will show you that in a second. But anyway, the first thing to know is where to save if you're just doing freeform text and stuff and won't be able to import it and add font colors and things. this is where you need to save it. And I just kind of put it at the top of this document to illustrate that. So again, it's users, your name, app data, roaming, portalarium, shroud of the avatar, custom books. There's also a folder above custom books that'd be things like chat logs. There's also one for um, custom songs, I think it is, or songs or something like that and stuff. So anyway, this is basically where your game data is. It's not going to carry over from machine to machine. So if you get a new PC or an upgrade, you're going to want to move these files to your new PC and stuff like that. So keep that in mind as something to try to archive or save to a thumb drive or something like that if you're, swapping machines. So looking at what I've got here is I've got a color specification, and this is basically just what's called a hexadecimal color code. And if you do hexadecimal color picker on Google, you're going to see this, something like this. Oops, too many things coming up there. And, anywhere I move, I can move in the green and say, ooh, I like that green. And I can copy this thing here. And if you see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before the pound, you don't want the pound, you just want the 6 digits. And if I go back over to what we were looking at here again, 6 digits, no pound. This is basically a white. This is basically a blue right here. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, this needs to be white, 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 all the way white. And in bold and in blue and spaced out, I want the word fields. Stop the editing, stop the bold, go back to white. I want these things in white, stop the editing. Let's go to black now. And in bold and in, I think that's a green, I want it to say putt putt golf course diamond menus. Stop the formatting, stop the bold. This is just a line space. There may be other ways to do a clean line. I just do this to get my line feeds when editing books. And then we've got literally the ASCII arts. I didn't do any coloring in those. In some other books, I got fancy and colored the flagpole like gold and made the flag red. Those were later iterations. This is a very early version of the first time I was messing with the ASCII art. Now, anytime you're publishing something for soda and stuff and doing all this, there's a character limit in books and flyers. I think it's 8,000 characters in a book. Unfortunately, every one of these things that we have here counts as part of your 8,000, even though you're only shown text is this and the data in between here. So that's something to keep in mind. It could, if you have a really long-winded book and you're doing a lot of color coding and stuff, everything that you're doing in the colors, turning them on, turning them off, turning the bold font off, turning it on, and stuff, is going to eat into your 8,000 maximum character limit. At least that's how it is now, since the last time I published a book. That may change later, but for right now, that's how it is. So keep those things in mind too. You go, oh my God, I only had, 7,000 characters. I had it in another document. It was only 7,000 characters, but my book is printing like I'm over. Well, you're printing over because of, you're formatting things. Again, like I said, many people try to talk about formatting. They said, just put in brackets the color and this and that. But the thing that I missed, and it took me a while to figure out, is only on imported text. So I cannot stress that enough. Only on imported text. So on flyers and things, flyers, and now the new bulletin board flyers, well, blank sheets of paper and the new bulletin board flyers, you can't do all this fancy stuff with the color coding. And so we come down here. So we've got black, and we have some words in black, and then I had a new line, and then underlined, and with whatever color that was, I don't really know right off the top of my head, I had something titled, stop the underline, stop the bolding of it, and now we're just going to say, in this color, we're going to say this, and if I hit end and go to the end, the minus sign in the bracket says stop that formatting, and that's kind of the formatting stop. Otherwise, you constantly have to do the reformatting every line if you don't stop it. So it's a 3 character eating into your 8,000 characters, but it saves you a few from, other formatting. So that's the basic gist of doing it. You're still just doing text, and you're just saying, I want it this color, I want it bold, or I want it underlined. I think there's italics and some other things. I think I use italics somewhere way near the end. But that's basically your choices right now. Now let's get into the ASCII art, and we'll open up a brand new, and it's not going to be colored or anything. We'll open up a brand new thing, and I'm going to show you the difficulty in that, and it's going to take a lot of patience to get something like this to look right and something like this to look right in your screen. While it looks okay here, there's a lot of tweaking going on that I had to do and stuff. So one moment on that. So basically, I typed in ASCII art flag since today is the 4th of July, and I did do a flag, which is on one of my bulletin boards in the new bulletin boards in the POT. And this isn't the exact one I used, but basically, oops, well, let's get this copied right. If I do this, now you can see these symbols, it looks pretty straightforward, right? And I'm going to hit K or Control C to copy this. And depending on what you're doing, like Canada, and you really just have to scan around for the ASCII art. But again, like I've told you about the true type fonts, the spaces, different characters make it shift, and then the width of the page makes it shift, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So anyway, I've got this copied to my clipboard, and this flag here, and this is exactly what you would do if you're trying to put ASCII art into your flyer or bulletin board or sheet. Okay, so I've got it on my clipboard, and I'm going to switch back to the game. Let's see here. And I'm going to open up, blank sheet of paper works fine. And I'm going to say I'm going to write. It's going to ask me for a title, and we're just demoing it here. So we're just going to put nothing. And I'm going to hit Control V. Okay, there's our flag. Oh, let's kind of get our thingy up here a little bit better and try to move this bad boy down. Nope, not that. Hold on one second. Let me switch the modes on this so we get the whole game screen. 1 second. Okay, there we go. So now we've got this, this is what we copy and paste. Doesn't look anything, well, this one's kind of close, but trust me, on some of them it's going to be really bad. Doesn't look anything exactly what we took from the screen. What we have to do is, we have to shift this now. Maybe that's a little bit too much that way on the flag. And I got to shift each line to get them to line up. Now this is a pretty basic one to try to line up, but some of the other ones, depending on how complex the ASCII art is, it can take a really long time to get this stuff lined up. We don't want the JGS, that's the artist, and I'm sorry if I'm, taking him or her out, but this is what we got to do, is you got to sit there and line each line back up. Now, again, the more complex and detail and the more funky characters there are, the harder it is to line it up. This one didn't seem very bad, but when we look at this, what happens is we've got these stripes and the stars don't look quite right because they're not showing exactly the way we think. So we can take this thing here and copy it and paste it in. Or actually, let me see here. I'm not sure what that was. I think I would copy this from a text thing and paste it in. I think it's maybe colons. Let's see. Looks like we need this to be just a little bit broader. But again, you're seeing, is it a colon? Pretty close to a colon. So, colon, 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 colon. There we go. That looks a little bit... Oh, we got a gap now. This is what I go through with my ASCII art, and now I've stripped that. Hold on. Let's just get her all back this way. I think it's a colon. just make that look right with the stripes. And then add some more colons in here. And again, this may not be proportioned right, but this is where, just because you get it off the internet don't mean it's going to work in the game, and you kind of got to play with it. And this is what I just kind of wanted to show you, that you can't just copy and paste it and get everything to line up right. So, pulling that back, going back here, making that field of stars a little bit better looking and stuff. And now we're starting to, and now obviously it's not that long, so that kind of looks about right. Get that lined up, that one lined up, that one back, this one over, and pretty close to a flag. The only thing is our equal signs. So equal, oh, not plus, equal. Those lined in. So this is what you kind of got to do to get ASCII art to look right. This one's probably a little too, there's probably one too many lines. That doesn't look quite right. Let me take that out. Still looks a little fat. Maybe it's a little too fat for the stars versus the stripes, but you get what I'm saying. Is you're going to have to, you can't just take somebody's ASCII art and put it in this particular game and have it work 100% for you 100% of the time. You've got to fiddle around with it just like I just showed you. And that's actually what I've done on all the ASCII art that I've shown in the game, is I've had to fiddle around. Also, some of them use, odd characters, which the game can't represent currently in the books. And that's a huge question that maybe some of you guys from other countries should bring up, is some of your, different characters. I can't name them all. I speak a little Russian, and there's some specific characters that have different annotations on them. So maybe localization of printed books is something. Don't expect that right away or anything. But for the ASCII art, again, some ASCII art is done with different characters that are not going to be able to be represented in the game exactly the same. And then, of course, the whole thing with true type. Man, that flag just looks really fat. I think I just went overboard on this. And it's kind of bugging me. Well, maybe it's this. These guys need to lose a line. A little closer. It still doesn't look quite right to me, but anyway, it's doing just a live demo of this. A little better. There's still something quite a little bit off, but you can work with your different ASCII art to get it right. And so we showed you colors, we showed you ASCII art, we showed you about how to import a book and how to save it. I guess the next thing is the making of the copies. I am not going to save this book, even though we just spent 5 minutes making that god-awful flag. Not the flag's awful, just, it's off. It's off from the one that I did. Once you've created a book, you can go to the Magic Printing Press and double-click it, and your menu would come up and books that you printed. So, like, for example, the Diamond Fields menu that we've talked about. So, like we talked about the white, the blue, space, the green, the ASCII art, going to the next page, the black, an underline, we showed all that in the text and stuff. I could take this book, put it in here, and then I can take some blank books and throw them in here. And when I do this and hit craft on a Magic Printing Press, I make copies of it. But again, you don't have to do it that way. You could, manually do it if you don't have access to one. But truly, many players have opened theirs up. Mine's in Diamond Fields near Elysium Mines, which is off of Twin Foothills. We're sub-POT off of, Port Phoenix and Knox, Jade Valley, Jade Fields or something, Phoenix Fields, Iron Gate. We're off of everything. We're not on the overland map, but there's a free printing press here, and I'm sure there's many more near you. And that's the basic. Okay, little technical cutout there, because apparently my dog rolled over my microphone and turned it off. Thank you. You've been very vocal today, either with barking or doing odd things. Anyway, the printing press is one way to make multiple copies. There's been some exclamatory and oh my goodness remarks because you can make copies of things and people feel like you could rip off their IP or intellectual property or something that they've done. I think it's going to be pretty limited. And secondly, Viram and Wambi have established basically like an ISBN deck where you can put your ISBN number. It's not called that quite exactly, but it's a similar idea into your books, and it basically is going to identify the author and stuff. Sure, that could be forged, but it's a way to trace back to where the original should have come from. If somebody forges it, then they're pointing to the wrong person or they're making up something, and I guess that would be one way perhaps to spot a forgery. I don't know. It's a concern I've seen raised on the forums. For me, lately, even though I have an ISBN number and stuff like that, I haven't quite started to put that on mine. It's something that I keep forgetting to do every time I print one. Maybe eventually I will. But I strongly suggest you guys do that because I've really gone through a lot of trouble to do it, and it's my bad for forgetting to do that. Anyway, that kind of covers book printing, doing the formatting, and some of the stuff that it just took me a while to go through the various forms and figure out how to do on my own, and I wanted to make it a little easier for you guys. And yep, that's my dog making that noise. You go, girl. She is all about making noise today. Take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.